Hey folks, my name's Rene Enriquez. Welcome to Uncensored. We're going to get right back to these videos, the hotel meetings. You know, I've been seeing in the comments that people are suggesting that the Cardenales were scared to go on the projects, but I can assure you that there's some real killers in there. Even though it's chaotic, the meetings are unorganized, there's no agenda set. Those guys are not afraid. They would willingly go in there and kill people. But as Shy had described earlier, it would take a suicide mission because Hazard's situated in such a way that it's kind of hard to get in and it's kind of hard to get out. So unless you're going in there guns a-blazing, it's just not prudent for anybody to do. That and, you know, another comment was that why did Hazard survive when they went to war with the Mexican Mafia? Well, they went to war with Smilon. That's who they went to war with. They didn't like his way of heavy-handedness, his bullying, his throwing his weight around. They just didn't like it. That's what they were opposing. They weren't opposing the Mexican Mafia because the Mexican Mafia had long been situated in Hazard. And there's been a lot of Cardenas from there. Rocky Luna, the Godfather, the main commissioner, Champ Reynoso, Danny Boy, Peña, Chico from Hazard, and Joker. Hazard has a lot of influence in the Mexican Mafia. And I think part of the reason they survived is because the Mafia wanted them to survive. Danny Boy has family there. Joker has family there. All those members, they didn't want to see their family targeted. So it never was in real risk of being permanently placed on the hit list like Cherryville or Lowell or some of these other gangs. It just had to be resolved, the situation with Smilon. And we're going to get into that now. I think they're going to segue into Smilon being upset. We're going to continue with this video, and I'll give you the breakdown as we go along. Here we go, folks. Here's the video.
Certainly can't beat the service. You get next day delivery with just one phone call.
You know, I know how Smiley feels, and I feel exactly the same way.
Is this everybody here? Supposed to be?
Randy and Tito. What happened?
They're on their way.
Did Randy get contact with Tito? I'm just waiting on him.
The individuals they're talking about, they're waiting to arrive at the meeting is Randy Therian, cowboy from Bassett, and Turtle, which is Ronald Baez, who recently just died in New Mexico while living with his mother.
Randy iba a la pick him up.
Where's traffic? Because he got him ahorita la freeway.
Huh?
He's living on Huero Shy now.
Oh, that's a drive. It's gonna be a while.
That was about Stacy met him at 6:30.
Time is now.
With all that traffic.
And
all that traffic and shit.
We can say it'd be here in an hour, it'd be an hour the next day.
Hey, not wait. They don't show up sometimes.
The thing is, right now, is
we can beat them.
how are we gonna handle
Does he have a
this
car
right now?
phone?
How do
Find
we
out where
want
he's
to
at.
handle it? That's the thing. You wanna, if somebody tries to talk to somebody, if not, then we gotta go another way.
You know what?
The O.J. Simpson trial is back underway, and Judge Lance Ito has tentatively decided to sequester the jury, move them to a secret location to keep them away from outside influences. Also, as expected, O.J. Simpson's attorneys confirmed today they will not challenge the admissibility of DNA-related evidence. Judge Ito took the unusual step of asking Simpson himself if he understood.
Who has any influence or any contact with anybody from Hazard that is level-headed?
Confused
Nobody?
people, they want you against my law.
No, because we have to try again, just the benefit to give the brother benefit of the doubt that we did try
I
again.
did try, bro. When he called and told me that, I called down there and I talked to that bundle that he gave me the number.
That nigga?
We don't want to.
And they were supposed to get back at me the next day. After they were going to have a junta the next day. After I talked to him, I talked to him on a Thursday. They were going to have a junta the next day on a Friday. They were going to talk about getting together with us and collect some data for Smilon. And they never did either one. They never got.
So it's exactly as I remembered it, that they're talking about resolving this issue for Smilon. You could hear Pee Wee in the background speaking on behalf of Smilon that, well, what he's saying actually is that, you know, obviously he's voicing Smilon's displeasure with what's happening. But Shy saying that he spoke to the individual that Smilon gave him the number to, and they were supposed to have a junta and collect money for Smilon, and it just didn't happen.
Traded for him, and they never got back at me.
That's why you're a Hall of Famer.
There's one other option that I know.
The last year right there, too. That's
You
right.
don't understand is they robbed
See, I
us
don't know
connections.
this-
They didn't just, they burned
I don't know this none of the
Bro, they
situation.
robbed the motherfuckers. That's why they asked to rent.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, también, he got Chico and another brother that were the
No
last.
ladies coming in, no. I was a big fan to this.
Well, apparently they are because Chico and them.
Brought a broom home?
This and this. And then
No, it's pretty good. It's rugs easy on. Look at watch out.
No, they all.
That's why they get this fucking cheap shit, eh?
I'm just trying to get something done and they're just, making it seem like it's all right.
Probably is on one of them cajones, though.
You hear a side conversation going off to the left, which is Sammy Villalba and Pee Wee Aguirre talking about Joker and Chico. That's Joker from Hazard, which is Jose Gonzalez, and Chico, who is Ricky Cruz. And Sammy Villalba was talking about them sending messages to the street. And Pee Wee's even questioning, like, are they carnales? He says, yeah, apparently they are because they're sending messages. So if you listen to all the chaotic communication there, it's really disappointing that it's not one person speaking at a time, and there's Perico right there chewing sunflower seeds, cracking in the ear, and if it's not that, it's Gibby digging in the chips and having side conversations with Perico. But if you listen to the minutia, the stuff going on in the background, you pick up a lot of information.
They don't see,
They want
they're
the
not getting the
bathroom?
messages, the bottom line, because if they were, they'd be calling us, talking about they want to talk.
They already did
He
that.
just told you.
So what I'm saying is, they're not getting, there's been the
The individual who just picked up the bag of chips and the white T-shirt and the baseball cap is Tonito Rodriguez. He was killed by Lowell Street, Sereno, right after this actually happened, not long after this video was taken. The individual in the frozen frame with the wristband, I think it's a rosario he's wearing, that's Perico Rocha.
neighborhoods before in the past, they were in the hat, and they were, believe me, they were on the phone, they were calling the brothers, they talking about, hey, we're coming to meet you, we want to clean this shit up. Not like this going on for 6-7 months.
They're not doing
They're
that.
not doing that.
They're not.
They already did that, bro. They
didn't-
called us. They
I'm
got a
saying
hold
they
of
didn't do it because they didn't
what
come
happened?
through. What
And
they
they
had to
didn't
do.
show up.
Well, there it is there. That's what I'm saying. We're
Yeah,
talking,
they
we're
did
talking
about
about
3
examples that people have showed up and did what they had to do.
Yeah, well, that's
People ain't getting the message.
That's those neighborhoods. You know,
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's
You know
why
where-
they're not getting
You know
the
where I
message.
feel it's not getting completed as before, is we cut off all the juntas with the neighborhoods as a whole. You know, Carnales got this side, they control the little area. They got this side, they control this area. And we had all these motherfuckers, and we say, crush this fucking neighborhood. Boom! They went and crushed the motherfuckers where they were fucking calling us up and said no more. You know how big is MS?
Yeah.
They're fucking, they're into the thousands, them little motherfuckers. And they fucking
Smashed it.
put their motherfucking hands up in the air. 18.
Now, Chuco hit a valid point. They stopped having massive juntas because it was bringing too much heat. I remember the Carnales made this decision. Like, it's too public, it's too focal, and they stopped having them. They started having little offshoot meetings, like one Carnal would go, 2 Carnales would go. But before, everybody attended, all gangs attended, like the Elysian Park meeting, a couple other meetings they had, right? The Salvador Park meeting, those are big juntas, right? And they stopped having that. And Chuco's, he's correlating the lack of compliance by Hazard with the lack of enforcement. I think that's a key point that we're looking at right here. This is where the Mexican Mafia started losing grip on some gangs, right? Because as Chuco explained, during those juntas, they'd say, hey, we're targeting this gang, everybody go take after them. And those barrios would do it, and they'd get smashed, and the gangs would come back immediately. Hey, we want peace, we want to resolve this, we want to clean it up. Pee Wee said the same thing. Pee Wee said the same thing. They want the same result, but they're using a different tactic, and it's not working. And they're seeing that come to play now.
Street, quite a few. But this neighborhood is kind of hard. They're confined. They're confined in a fucking little area like this.
Just like Maravilla too. Maravilla ain't calling talking about what can we do. And they ain't calling. They're just hiding off in their little projects and shit, just like Hazard do.
But then again, you gotta remember you still got a lot of people asking about Maravilla. What do we do with Maravilla? They're on the line. What do we do? Some people say, not really forcing issue. So they get a call, it's on, green light, full blown, boom, boom, boom. Is it a green light? Like it was at the beginning, full blown. They had their own tank. They had their own tank and all that. But now it's kind of like simmered down. So now you see some on the line and all this and that. That's what.
There's a Maravilla runs its ages into the 60s. We ain't fucking with that old man. It's bringing it down to a level.
Says that tus camaradas from Maravilla.
Some of them autos are good.
They brought up a good point here about the conflict with Maravilla. See, Maravilla had their own module. They had their own little PC module where they were immediately put when they went to the county jail. A lot of people don't realize that, but Maravilla was immediately PC'd when they went to the county jail. And they started that with some other gangs after the Mexican Mafia started greenlighting them. And they stayed that way for years. This brings up a very interesting topic, how Maravilla came back into the fold, right? Albert Sandoval is responsible for bringing them back as camaradas. And you still see some people in comment sections and social media saying they don't pay taxes. Oh, I guarantee you they pay taxes. I guarantee you Maravilla pays taxes. There may be some offshoots, and look, here's a reality. That not everybody in the hood pays taxes. Not everybody. There's some drug dealers that do it without the knowledge of Mexican Mafia members and their crews. I mean, if you're smart, you do it that way. But Maravilla answers to Chato, and that's a reality, right? But the whole saga of Maravilla originated in the 70s in San Quentin State Prison with the creation of Los Maravillosos. Mundo does a couple pieces on it. He talks about them extensively. You might learn something from that whole saga there. But it went on for years. It went on for years. People say that Maravilla was against the Mexican Mafia, but 10 of the original members were from Maravilla. The Mexican Mafia's core was Maravilla. Somehow that went off the rails in the 1970s when they wanted to start their own organization. And it was bad ever since. And they couldn't have survived had they not been protected. But there was a conflict in ideology in the organization because we had good camaradas that were from Maravilla. So the decision was made in the county jail. They played that, right? That's how it worked in the county jail. It was on site. Maravilla started getting down to, and they were fighting for theirs, right? But they did have their own PC module, and that's a reality. Anybody could say, "Oh, it's the Maravilla module." It was a PC module, and I mean that with all due respect. They had no choice in it. They were housed there by the county jail, and that's all there was to it. They had no choice where they were going. So I'm not saying that the guys from Maravilla went and PC'd up. I'm not saying that at all. So I mean no offense to the guys from Maravilla. I'm just telling the story like it was. But since Chato brought them back, they're all in the fold. So when this occurred in the state, if you were from Maravilla and you were walking the main line, you were still cool. Because they didn't play that in the state. The Carnales up at the Bay, we never targeted dudes from Maravilla. Not because they were from Maravilla. There were a couple guys that were targeted. I remember Eddie from Lopez was one of the most prolific guys that would disrespect Carnales on the bus. Eddie Green Eyes, I think his name was, from Lopez Maravilla. I remember riding on the bus with him one day, and he would always disrespect Guate, spit at him, and all the Cardenales, and I just talked to him. I talked to him, and I just told him, I say, hey, bro, I says, honestly, why are you going to do that? I said, they're not going to disrespect you. I says, all you're doing is placing a bigger target. I said, you got Cardenales talking about cutting out bars to get you, and they will do it if they get the chance. I says, okay, you got to beef with them, you got to beef, but, handle it like a man. When the doors open up, kill somebody. Handle it that way. Or just wait for your opportunity. I said, but the disrespect on the bus in front of the cops and all that. And he actually quieted down after that. It was a really intelligent respectful conversation that I had with him. He thought that I was going to come off crazy because I was in the van with him. I was special transport, and I wasn't going to do anything to him. I didn't have any beef with him. I just told him, hey, you disrespected that brother. He wants you hit. I'm not going to hit you for him. I mean, I wasn't going to do that. I was asked a couple times, hey, get that guy, and I wouldn't do it. Like, you get him. You get him. You got the beef with him. But I didn't have any beef with this guy, Eddie. And I just told him flat out. But Maravilla had a real green light, right? And they survived because they were isolated. And then, thankfully, Alfred Sandoval got them off the lista. And I still see some of those comments that they don't pay taxes. But they do. That's the reality. Let's get on with the video, folks.
It's on the chains, yeah, it's on chains. No, I said a while back, remember when you first met, we were selling, and I asked you, what's up with Maravilla? And you said it was just against the Maravilla, so it's not the whole neighborhood. But now it's the whole neighborhood again?
No. Okay.
Back then, back like in
No,
87.
they're not. Oh, back then.
Remember
It's
I
just
asked
like.
you, bro, I asked you, what's up
The,
with
and
Maravilla?
like the dudes from the norte.
No, I was asking about
We don't
Maravilla.
have pleito with the norteños. Just the motherfuckers, they have the 14 and one blast on the sureños.
Yeah. But
You
when
know?
you ran it by me, correct me if I'm wrong, you said
Yeah.
it's only peddling with them old Maravilloso fools and the rest
We've
of
had
them.
peddling with Maravilla since the 60s, man.
I understand that.
They,
but-
they, used to run,
Maravillosos.
they used to run with the farmeros.
I understand.
But
And they
see,
were
like
farmeros.
right now, we got camaradas from Maravilla.
But there's not a camaradas.
everybody,
There's a gang of them.
everybody from Maravilla don't feel the way that
They do.
they do.
Okay,
In
now,
other words, like they don't even consider themselves Sureños. They don't play that shit. They just say puro Maravilla y total. They don't all that Sureño shit. They
see,
do.
but I'm not, well, the ones I'm not backing up nothing, but I'm just saying that I remember everyone I ever ran into from Maravilla was always Sureno, down with you.
Yeah, well, there's a whole bunch of them, but I'm saying there are some that.
Okay, but now
Yeah.
bring me up to date. Is there a green light on Maravilla?
Yeah, that's the bottom line. That's what people want to know.
When
Bring me a
people
date, I don't know.
when people ask me that, I tell them, look, you know if a motherfucker's an enemy or not.
Oh, I'm sure of that, but no, what I'm
You-
saying
you
is,
know
what,
who
I mean,
he's
like,
running
what I'm
with.
saying is, like, if I was to get a call tomorrow from some homeboys, there's about to Maravilla on the linea, I mean, and they want to blast them, what do I tell them?
Tell them why they getting with the program. They say, yeah,
Exactly, there you go.
That's all.
Judgment call?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. See, the judgment calling, that leaves the door open.
Yeah, for all kinds of
I mean, we
mistakes.
talk about camaradas. I mean, realistically speaking, I mean, we're out here, you've been out here on the streets. How many camaradas, I mean, righteous camaradas,
Come forward.
Come forward, call the brothers, house, get woo, what's up, man, you need something, woo, woo. Like in the pen, like when I'm in the joint, I got a gang of camaradas, motherfuckers, they want to do anything for me. They
Yeah.
want to lick my nuts and all that. But they, to me, they're just doing that because they're there. But when they get out, I'll never see them again. That ain't no camarada. That's what I'm talking about. A camarada is with us to the end. I mean, he comes and checks in with us.
Yeah,
I was scared. I'm a camarada. He's gonna show
Yeah,
it
well,
out. He's gonna be.
I think everybody knows what a camarada is.
So we're going to stop the video there. But Pee Wee hit on a perfect point. It's the thing I've been saying all along. Just because you're from the sur or you're a south sider or you're from a hood, it doesn't make you a camarada. Camaradas are true blues, just like the Flame. We're set tripping for the Dodgers today. Check out the Flame and a hat. So Pee Wee hit on that, hard. Like, hey, camaradas are a dime a dozen in prison, but on the streets, they come in, they check in, they do what they have to do. That's a camarada. Camarada is a distinction. So this bastardized, corrupted version of what camarada is real. I mean, it still holds true today. A lot of people might not think that, but a camarada to the organization is something entirely different. That's an earned title. That's an earned title done through work and dedication and commitment to the organization. So they're talking about the Maravilla still. We're going to cut out there. I hope we learned something about this. Shy just said that it has been occurring since the 60s when Maravilla was running with the NF. I know that in the 70s or the 60s, they started their own organization called Los Maravillosos, which further angered and enraged the organization. The Mexican Mafia killed some of them in San Quentin at the time, and that's when the conflict started. And you hear Gibby trying to find out the distinction, and they come down to it's a judgment call. It's a judgment call. So this is all past history. I just wanted to give you some kind of history about the Maravillas and how the conflict arose and how it continued and how they got isolated and how that war started in the county jail between the Sureños and Maravilla and what it is today. All right, folks. With that said, that's another episode of Uncensored. I hope you like, subscribe, leave a comment, hit that hype button, folks. And remember, we got memberships now. We got to bump up those membership rolls. So I'm making an appeal to all the viewers. Join the membership that we have for the channel. You'll be supporting the channel and the production of this content. Without further ado, peace out, folks. Have a safe day.